Welcome back, everyone. Still on the topic bearing and distance. The questions we are going to be solving today, all our distances will be approximated to three significant figures and all our angles towards 0.1 degree. To three significant figures simply mean our final answer should be just 3 digits. And to 0.1 degree simply means our angle should be to 1 decimal place. Take note. Now, our first question is this. It said from a point on the edge of the sea, one ship is 5 kilometers away on the bearing of south 50 degrees east, and the other is 2 kilometers away on the bearing of south 60 degrees west. They said, how far apart are the ships? Now, the first thing I'm to focus on is, they said, from a point on the edge of the sea. So let me say, this is my edge of the sea. Always remember to use your ruler, please. And remember this as a guide. North, south, west, east. One ship is 5 kilometers on a bearing of south 50 degrees east. This is my south 50 degrees east. South 50 degrees. So let me get my 50 degrees. If south is 50 degrees, then from east to be what? 40 degrees, 90 minus 50. So I can use here to get my 40 degrees. And I'll rule it very long because I don't know the distance I'm using yet. So I've done that. Now 5 kilometers. What I'll do, I'll just say 5 times 12 and it will give me 60. If I'm saying 5 times 12, then I must say 2 times 12 as well. 2 times 12. So you are the one that knows what will fit your sheet of paper. Take notes. Now 5 times 12 is 60. I'll have year to year now to be what? 60. So I have my 60 centimeter on my ruler here. So I'll rule my vertical, which is north south, and my east west. So I've done that. So this remains my 5 kilometers. Now the second is, where's the second? One ship is 5 kilometers on a bearing of south 50 degrees east, and another is 2 kilometers on a bearing of south 60 degrees west, southwest. 60 degrees west simply means is what? 30 degrees from what? South 60 degrees west simply means is 30 degrees from the what? East. So I'm to get my 30 degrees. So I simply have my 30 degree here. It's my 30 degree this time. So I'll roll it long as well. So that's it. Now I'll bring out my 2 times 12 is 24. So I have my 24. This is 25, so 24 should be this. 24 is 25, so this should be 24. So I can therefore join this and this. This is what? 2 kilometers. I can therefore join this and this. And please get it right. Using your protractor and your ruler for proper scaling gives you a perfect understanding on how the triangle actually looks like. Now they said from the point on the edge of the sea, let this be my edge of the sea, E. Now that's my edge of my sea. And what else? They said one ship is 5 kilometers away. So let this be S1, ship 1, and this become S2, ship 2. Now we've done all the information we have to do. Remember, the first was 50 degrees from what? 50 degrees from the south. So this is 50 what? Degree. 50 southeast. So this is 50 degrees. The south that must have the angle. And 60 degree what? South 60 degree west, which is what? 60 degree west. So if I add up these two, I'll have 60, 50, 110 what? Degree. Now they said, how far apart are the ships? The distance apart, let me take it as small letter e, since I have e here. And this become small letter s subscript 1, small letter s subscript 2. Now, I'm looking for my e. How many angles do I know? I know two sides, and I know an Euclidean angle, so I can get my e using cosine rule. So the triangle now is something like this. You can see it. This is 110 degree. This is E. This is capital E. This is S subscript 2, which is S2 equal 5 what? Km. S1 equals to what? 2 km. So my E square using cosine rule will be equals to S subscript 1 square plus S subscript 2 square plus y plus the angle is greater than 90. 2s1 s2 cos open bracket 180 degree minus what? Angle E. So I have small letter e square to give me my s1 is 2. So I have 2 square, s2 is 5. I have 5 square plus 2 times 2 times 5 cos 180 degree minus 110 what? Degree. 2 square is simply 4, 5 square is simply 25, plus I have my 2 times 2 times 5 cos 180 minus 110 is what? 70 what? Degree. And I'll have 4 plus 25 plus, I'll resolve all this as 1 because it has to do with what? Product. So I have 2 times 2, 4, 4 times 5, 20. So I have 20 cos 70, and that will give me 6.84. And if I sum up with this plus 29, will give me 35.84. And small letter e square, I'll take the square from both sides, 35.814. And my value should be greater than 5 but less than 6. So my e will give me the square root of this, which gives me 5.9867, which units? Kilometer. But they said all distance should be to 3 significant figures. So E will be equals to 5.99 kilometer as my what? Answer. So we have a question again on the board. It says, a student walks 50 meters on the bearing of 025 degree and then 200 meters due east. How far is she from a starting point? Now let's see using our diagram. It says a student walks 50 meters on the bearing of 25 degree. So let's say we have this as the starting point of the student, and the bearing is 25 degree. From the north, 25 degree. So from the north, 25 degree is same as saying 90 minus 25, which gives you 65. So this is then 25 degree. So let's rule. So we can see that 200 meter, my meter rule here is not up to 200 meter. So I can simply say divide by 10. 50 divided by 10 will give you 5. And I can say the other 200 divided by 10 will give me what? 20. To make this increase, I can say times 3. If I say times 3, then here I must do times 3 so that I'll have 60. I have 60 here. So here become what? 15. So my 50 meter here, I'm going to be using 15 watts. centimeter on my rule. And my 15 meter is this, very short. Or let me multiply by 4. So that here will give me 80 and here will give me what? 20. So I'm using 20 now. So this is my 20. Because what I use must be okay with my space, which is your sheet of board, your sheet of paper rather. So I've done the first. And they said, and then, meaning I can take this as my initial point. And then 200 meter due east. Remember, north, south, west, east, west, east. So 200 meters. So I'm moving from here to get my 80. I put it at this very tip that connects the vertical and horizontal line. So this is my what? 80. I would have ruled. Let's rule. So here we go. So this is my final what? Point. So I can join this and this now. So I've done that. Now this is my what? 50 meter as given. And this is my what? 200 what? Meter as given. This is my final point. And I'm asked to, how far is she from a starting point? This is our end point, which is final point, and this is start point. So this angle corresponds to this side. So I can take this as small letter I. Let this be capital I, capital F. So you can see that this angle corresponds to this. This F corresponds to this. So this small letter F and this S corresponding to this. So I'm looking for my I. What and what do I have? Remember, this is my angle, which is what? 25 degree. If this is 25, then this total should be 90 minus 25 to this place, not this little angle. This little angle is not 65, take note. Now, if this is 25, this alternate angle here should be 25 degree as well. And this is a what? A right angle between what? South, east, because we move in the eastern direction. So I'll have 90 plus 25. 90 plus 25, 100, 115. So I have 115 degree for my angle what? I. Now I know two sides, and I'm looking for this angle. Because I know two sides and included angle, and I'm looking for what? One of the last side, which is I. So therefore I can simply have some XF, which SF square, which equals small letter I square, to be equals to F square plus S square. This is greater than 90, so I'll use plus 2fx sine capital letter sine cos rather. I'm using cosine rule. Cos open bracket 180 degree minus angle what? I. So my small letter I is my question, which I'm using as SF, which is the distance between the start and the end points. Now I'll have it as my F is 50 meters, so I have 50 square. My S, small letter S, is 200 meter, which is 200 what? Square, plus 2 times 50 times 200 cos open bracket 180 degree minus my angle I, which is 115 what? Degree. So I have my XF square to be equals to 50 square. That should give me 25. 50 square. So that's 2500. 2500 plus 200 square. 40,000. So I have my plus 2 times 50 times 200, which is 100 times 200. I simply add my 200 and I have add my 20, and I'll have cos 180 minus 115 will give me 65 what? Degree. Now I'll have 25 plus 40,000 plus 20,000 cos 65. Gives me 8452.37. So I'll add up all this plus 40,000 plus 25. And that will give me 50952.37. And if I take the square roots, I'll have 50952.37. And XF will be equals to the square root of it, which gives me 225.73. Which unit? Meter. So XF, which is the distance of a starting point from my end point, will give me approximately 226 kilometer to 3 significant figure, and this is my answer. Thank you. We have 2 goalposts are 8 meters apart. A footballer is 34 meters from one post and 38 meters from the other. He said, within what angle must he kick the ball if he is to score a goal? Now, the angle they are talking about now should be the angle made in between the 2 posts. So let's start. Let's assume this is the distance between the 2 posts. If this is this actual distance between the 2 posts, then here can be post 1. And here therefore can be post 2. This distance is the actual length of the post. This is the actual length of the other posts. But the distance between the 2 posts is this to this. This is the distance between the 2 posts, which is what? 8 meters. 2 goalposts are 8 meters apart, which we've done there. Now, they said a footballer is 34 meters from one and 38 from the other. Let me say this 30. This is the big longer one, which is 38. So I should slant it a little more. And the other is what? 34. So this is that of this is the one for the 34. So this is 34 meters. This is 38 meters. And this become the footballer. Take notes. And this is the angle that it must be within to score a goal. Now, if you watch this, I'm done with everything here. All we need to do now is to calculate for our angle theta. And if you watch, we have 3 sides. But before we even proceed, let's verify if it is a true triangle. Because what is formed now is a triangle. 34 plus 8 is 42, is greater than this. Good. 38 plus 8 is 40, 46, greater than this. Good. And this for sure is greater than this. So it's a correct triangle. Now let's solve. Since we have 3 known sides, we can get our angle, any of the 3 angles, but we are looking for this. So we can get our theta to be equal to cos inverse of, let's make it easy, let this be A, this be B, and this be C. Now cos theta now happens to be angle C, which equal theta, equal cos inverse of, using C now, we should have B squared plus, let's start with A squared plus B squared minus C squared all over 2AB. We've been doing this, so you should know how we got it. So this becomes cos inverse of my A. This becomes my A, this becomes my B, and this is my C. So my A is 38. So I have 38 squared plus my B, 34 squared minus my C, 8 squared all over 2 times what? 38 times what? 34. I won't want to waste my time. So this becomes cos inverse. Just resolve the top as 1 and resolve the bottom as 1 as well. This will give me 38 squared plus 34 square minus 8 square. The top gives me 2536. 2536. And the bottom is 2 times 38 times 34. This will give me 2584. And I have my cos inverse to give me 2536 divided by 2584. And that gives me 0.9814. And my theta therefore will be equals to shift cos of my answer, which gives me 11.061 degree, which is approximately equals to 11.1 degree to 0.1 degree as said. Thank you. So we have a question. It says city A is 300 kilometers due east of city B. City C is 200 kilometers on the bearing of 123 degrees from city B. How far is it from C to A? So let's see. It says city A is 300 kilometers due east of B. So therefore, I can have it this way. Marker. Search for a better marker, please. So if I have this, both should be on the same line because they said due east. So I'll have this like this. Now I have two distances. I have 300 kilometers and I also have 200 kilometers. To fit in on my ruler, I can divide 300 by 10 and I'll have what? 30. And if I look at 30 in my ruler, it's still too small. So I can multiply by 2 to give me what? 60. For the other, I'll divide by 2. 200 divided by 2. By 10 rather, will give me what? 20. And I'll have 20 times what? 2 also to give me what? 40. So it's good to go. Now, their distance apart is 300 kilometers. So let me put my 300 kilometers and I have to do with 60 there. So this is my what? 60. It says city A is due east of B. So if this is B, remember north, south, west, east. So due east of B, this is my east of B now. So this becomes my what? A. So I've done that. And the distance are what? 300 what? The distance is 300 kilometers rather. Now, city C is 200 kilometers on the bearing of this from B. From B. Bearing of this from B. So B has this bearing, take note, 123 degree. Where's my ruler? 123 degree. So 123 should be here. So if I want to remove the 90 degree, I'll have 123 minus what? 90. And I have an angle here with respect to the east to be what? 33 degree. So let's do that. 33 degree. This 10, 20, 30, 33 should be 3 lines after 30. So I can therefore rule a long line using this line I've marked out. But we don't know this distance yet. Now we've done that on a bearing of this degree. So when I said 123 minus 123 coming from this way minus 90, I have here as what? 33 what? Degree. And if this 33, remember here should be 90 minus 33. You can do that, but I don't think it's needed here. Now, from city C, so this is my C. Now let me see any other information they said. City C is 200 kilometers of the bearing of this from city B. So this is what? 200 what? Kilometer. So if this is 200 kilometer, I have to get it from this, which is what? 40 by my conversion. So here's my 40. This is my what? 40. You see the essence of using a ruler. Without using the right scale, you won't really get what you are doing rightly. You won't have a true information about the diagram. Take notes. So this is, and this can be joined to this. So this is 200 what? Kilometer. You can use your eye to see that this distance is 300 kilometer is bigger than this, and the angles is well what? Is well what? Drawn to scale. Now this is my what? C. They said how far is it from C to A? Here's my C to A. This is my C to A. So I'm looking for this. C to A. This is B. Remember, and this is what? A. This B is facing here, so I can take it as small b. This is facing here, I can take it as small a. And this is my C, small letter what? C. This can leave. Now you can see that C to A is B. So I can use, and I have two sides and an included angle, so I'll use cosine rule. So my B square, which equals to AC square, is equals to, now I'm using B to get my values easily. Since I've used B, I'll have what? A square plus what? C square. A square plus C square minus 2AC cos capital letter what? B. Now, I'm not using this because I'm asked for a distance of AC. My A is what? 200 square. Plus my C is what? 300 what square. Minus 2 times 200 times 300 cos. Our angle is what? 33 degree. 33 what? Degree. That's why I use negative sign. Now I'll use my calculator. 200 square. This is 40,000. 300 square. 90,000. Minus. Remember, you can use a closed bracket. You resolve all this as one before thinking of using this negative sign. So we have 2 times 200 times 300 to give us 120,000 cos 33. So answer times cos 33 will give me 40,000 plus 90,000 minus 100,640.4682. And if I say 40,000 plus 90,000 minus my answer, I will have 29359.53185. And to remove my square, I'll take the square root from both sides. 29359.53185. And the square root of my answer will give me my AC to be equals to 171.346, which units? Kilometer, which is approximately equals to 171, since this cannot add up, kilometer, to what? 3 significant what? Figures. And this is my what? Answer. Thank you. If you check, the value got to 171. If I add it up to 200, it's greater than 300. If I say 300 plus 200 is 500, it's greater than this. And if I say 171 plus 200 is greater than 300, so it's a perfect what? Triangle. Thank you. Again, we have a question. It says a triangular field has two sides, 50 meter and 60 meter long, and the angle between these sides is 96 degrees. How long is the third side? Now, we are given two sides and the included angle. Let me say the first side, 50 meter. Let me use 60 first. Catch it. So this is 60 meter. And the second should not be up to the first 50 meter. Let's try to combine them. Now, this is my 60 meters, this is my 50 meters, and the angle between them was given to be what? 96 degrees. This implies that this is an obtuse triangle, and we have to look for the third side. This is the third side. You can take here as A, B, and what? C. So the third side happens to be BC, which corresponds to small letter what? A. This is small letter B, and this is small letter what? C. So you can see that we have two known side and the included angle, so we can use our cosine rule directly. So my small letter A will be A square, which is the smaller what? The third side rather, asked for, to be equals to what? B square plus C square. This angle is greater than what? 90, so I'll say plus 2BC cos 180 degrees minus capital letter what? Angle A. So my B is what? 60. So I have 60 square plus my C, 50 square plus 2 times 60 times 50 cos, open bracket, 180 degree minus 96 degree. And this will give me 60 square is 3,600. 50 square is 25. And I have plus 2 times 60 times 50 to give me 6,000 cos 180 minus 96 gives me what? 84 degree. So this will give me 36 plus 25 plus cos of my answer is this times 6,000. 6,000 will give me 627.171. And if I add up to this, I'll have 36 plus 25 to give me 6727.17. And to remove my square, I'll take square root, and A will be equals to the square root of this. This will give me 82.019. So I have A to be equals to 82.0, which units? Meter, to 3 significant what? Figures. So this is the answer to this what? Question. So we have a question. It says, two boats A and B left port C at the same time on different routes. B traveled on a bearing of 150 degrees and A traveled on the north side of B. When A had traveled 8 kilometers and B had traveled 10 kilometers, the distance between the two boats was found to be 12 kilometers. So calculate the bearing of A from A route from what? C. Now, how do we do that? Let's start. Two boats A and B left port C. Let me say this is my port C. My port C. They said B traveled on a bearing of 150 degrees. B traveled on 150 degrees. So 150, however, north, south, west is 150 is greater than 90 but less than 180, so it should be here. And 150 minus 90 will give you what? 60 degrees. Yes. So I have this. So I'll get my 60 degree out. This is my 60 degree. And I'll rule. And A traveled on the north side. A traveled on the north side of B. When A have traveled 8 kilometers, remember this C, they've given me my B route. When A have traveled 8 kilometers, B had traveled 10 kilometers. The distance between the two boats was found to be 12 kilometers. A have traveled 8 kilometers. B have traveled 10 kilometers. So B is 10 kilometers. B equal 10 kilometers. A equal 8 kilometers. Now, if I multiply this by 4, I'll have this as 40. And if I multiply this by 8, here is it. I'll have 72. So this is 72. How about the third is 10? 10, if I multiply by 4, I have what? What was the last? 12. 12 rather. If I multiply 12 by 4, I'll have what? 48. Now, B had traveled what? 10 kilometers. My 10 kilometers here represent 40 using my centimeter rule here. So here's my 40. This is my 40. Now I've gotten this. And we are also told that this is my C and this is my word B. So this should be the third side I'm doing now will be for my word A. I've used my 40 and 40 is what? This 10 kilometers. Because C from B was 10 kilometers. B have traveled 10 kilometers. You can see it here. B have traveled 10 kilometers. That's what we have here. They travel away. Remember, they must travel away from the word port. Now, I've used my 40. I have 72. 72 and what? 48, which corresponds to 8 and what? 12. Yeah. So I can clean this stuff. Now we can see that B traveled on the bearing of 150 degrees, which we've used 150. 150 minus 90 will give me what? 60 degrees here. Now, and B had traveled, and A traveled on the north side of B. North side of B, which is this. North side of B, this is north. So this is north side of B. Now, A traveled on the north on the north of B. Full stop. When A had traveled 8 kilometers, so my 8 corresponds to 72. So I use my centimeter rule again to check. Please do that on your own. 72. So 2.71, 72. So this is my 72. So, and 72 correspond to what? Here is it. And A had traveled on the north of B. When A had traveled 8 kilometers, here's my 8 kilometers for A. I'm not using that yet, 8 kilometers. And B had traveled 10 kilometers. The distance between the two ships was found to be 12 kilometers. So if this is the port, the third point should be my distance between the two. This should be my position for what? This should be my position for, what is it called? My position for what? A. The distance between the two ships was found to be what? 12 kilometers. So my 12 corresponds to what? Here's my 12. 12 corresponds to 48. 12. 12 times 4, yes, 48. So here's my inches. This is my inches. So here's my 48. 48. This is 45, 46, 47, 48. So this is my 48. So it's not right. So this is my what? 12 what? Kilometer. So this is my what? A. And they said A have traveled what? 8 kilometers. So year to year can be taken as what? 8 kilometers. So this is my what? 8 kilometers. Now, they said the distance between it. So they said calculate the bearing of A from C. The bearing of A from C, C happens to the port, remember. The bearing of A from C is simply, please take note, listen attentively. The bearing of A from C is the angle sustained from the north of C till it touches the line that connects what? A and C together. This is the line that connects A and C. Because if I clean this line, you can see there's no connection between AC. So the angle sustained, the bearing of A root from C is simply the angle formed, is the angle sustained between the north of C till it touches the line that connects what? AC. So I can take this as my alpha if I choose to, and this is my value, this is the value of the angle, the bearing I'm looking for. Whatsoever this is, that's the bearing of what? A root from what? C. Take note. Now, how do I get that? Remember, this must be what? 40. This must be 30. So, alternate angle here must be what? 30 degree. What else do I need? And this is my what? 8 kilometers. Because we see, when A had traveled 8 kilometers, it must travel away from the what? Port. Now, I have 3 sides. So I can look for any of the angles. Now, I know this angle, but I don't know this total angle. If I can get my total angle, remember the north of this to this was given as 150. From the north of this is 150. So, if I can get this, let me take this as theta. I can simply say alpha plus what? Phi, this is phi, I use phi, is equals to what? 150 degree, which is the distance, the angle sustained from the north to this very line was given to be what? Where is it? 150 degree. So this my alpha plus this angle phi must be equal to 150. So if I can get my phi, I can easily get my what? Alpha. So let's see. So now to get my angle phi, I have 3 sides known. I can simply have phi to be equals to, the 2 sides are known and this other side is known. So I can have phi to be, simply you should know it by now. I can have my 10 square using my cosine rule, cos inverse of the 2 other sides square, sum of the other side, which is 10 square plus a square minus this side, the angle is facing, 12 square, all over 2 times 10 times what? 8. Now phi will be equals to cos inverse. I'll get this now. Let me just use my fraction. 10 square plus a square minus 12 square, come down, 2 times 10 times 8. This will give me 0.125. 0.125. So phi therefore will be equals to shift cos of my answer. And I'll have 82.819 degree. Remember, this angle must be less than 90 degree because it's in between northward, south. Now, I've gotten this. So my alpha plus my phi is this. 82.819 degree will be equals to 150 degree. And alpha will be equals to 150 degree minus 82.819 degree. And alpha will be equals to 150 minus my answer, giving me 67.181 degree. So alpha will be equals to 67.2 degree to what? To 0.1 degree as instructed. And this is my what? Answer. Thank you.